Just when you thought the Chicago Bears stadium saga couldn't get any more chaotic, a massive curveball just dropped that changes absolutely everything. We are talking about a brand new, jaw-dropping proposal that completely scraps the move to the suburbs and rebuilds our historic home right on the lakefront. Grab your gear and brace yourselves, because the battle for the future of our franchise just took its wildest turn yet. If you want to stay on top of every single breaking update about our team, make sure to smash that like button, share this video, and hit subscribe right now. But seriously, are we destined to just watch these endless architectural dreams float by while we freeze in the oldest, smallest venue in the league? Or is this finally the blueprint that gets shovels in the ground? Let's be brutally honest with each other for a second. As fans, we have been put through the absolute ringer over this stadium's situation. For years, we have been dragged along on this exhausting emotional roller coaster. We bought land, we talked to politicians, we looked at suburbs, we looked at neighboring states, and all the while, we are still playing in a building that has fallen drastically behind the rest of the National Football League. It feels like we are stuck in a holding pattern while every other major franchise is moving into state-of-the-art palaces. But just when it felt like the Arlington Heights dream was fading and the threat of moving out of state was looming larger than ever, a completely unexpected lifeline has been thrown out there to keep the monsters of the Midway right where they belong. According to the latest local reports, an incredibly ambitious architectural firm named Edward Peck Design has just released a mind-blowing concept that pitches a completely different future for this organization. Instead of fleeing to Arlington Heights or packing our bags for Northwest Indiana, this proposal outlines a massive, ground-up transformation of Soldier Field. We are talking about turning this historic, sometimes frustrating piece of real estate into a futuristic, year-round mega-venue. They released a handful of renderings, and I have to admit, my jaw hit the floor when I saw them. We didn't get a massive 80-picture gallery like we did with some of those older suburban concepts, but the images we did get are incredibly striking. They showed an unbelievable skycam view from above, a breathtaking shot from inside the seating bowl bathed in natural sunlight, and a glowing, neon-lit nighttime view that makes the entire lakefront look like something out of a science fiction movie. The absolute crown jewel of this entire Edward Peck Design pitch is the roof. Now, we have all debated the whole bare weather argument until we are blue in the face, but this proposal includes a transparent ETFE roof. If you aren't familiar with ETFE, it is a highly advanced, ultra-lightweight transparent material that essentially functions as a gigantic glass dome. It completely protects the fans and the players from the brutal, freezing winter elements, but it still lets in all the natural sunlight. You are seeing this exact same technology completely take over the league. They used it to build the Vikings' incredible new stadium. It is covering SoFi Stadium out in Los Angeles. You can see it at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta utilizes it too. I am a massive fan of this translucent style. It completely eliminates that dark, depressing, artificial warehouse feeling that you get in older domed stadiums. If we are playing a noon game, you still get that gorgeous, natural daytime feel. And if we are hosting a primetime game under the lights, you can literally look up through the roof and see the stars and the iconic Chicago skyline. It is an absolute game changer. But let's talk about the single most infuriating problem with our current setup, and that is the capacity. Right now, Soldier Field holds right around 61,000 people. That is deeply embarrassing. We are one of the biggest, most passionate, most historically significant fan bases in the entire world of sports, located in the third largest market in the country, and we have the lowest capacity stadium in the entire league. It is unacceptable, and it drives ticket prices through the roof while keeping die-hard fans locked out. This new proposal aggressively tackles that insult. It plans to completely re-engineer the seating bowl and bump the capacity up to a highly respectable 72,000 seats. They are proposing adding roughly 8,500 general admission seats, alongside brand new, top-tier luxury suites and premium seating options. Adding 11,000 seats would instantly pull us out of the league's basement and put us right back in the middle of the pack, if not higher, where a franchise of this magnitude rightfully belongs. Question of the day for all of you watching right now, and I want you to head down to the comments and give me your brutally honest answer. If it were completely up to you, do you want the team to stay on the lakefront at a renovated Soldier Field, or do you want them to pack up and build a massive, sprawling empire out in Arlington Heights? Drop your comments below because I am going to be reading every single one of them. Now, aside from the building itself, this pitch also includes the addition of a sprawling entertainment district along the lakefront. This is where I start to get a little bit skeptical, just based on the pure physics of the location. When the team bought those 300 acres out in Arlington Heights, the biggest selling point was the sheer volume of space. 300 acres is a blank canvas. You can build a massive stadium, a dozen hotels, endless restaurants, bars, shopping centers, and a dedicated tailgating paradise. Down on the lakefront, we are incredibly boxed in. I genuinely do not know how they are going to squeeze a massive, revenue-generating entertainment hub onto that specific footprint without causing absolute chaos. And speaking of chaos, we have to talk about the logistics. Getting in and out of that area is already a nightmare on game days. If you are adding 11,000 more screaming fans to the mix, where on earth is everyone going to park? The proposal vaguely touches on improving public transit, which is an absolute necessity, but they also threw out a completely wild idea: high-speed water taxis. Picture this scenario. Instead of sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic for 2 hours, you park a mile or two down the coast. You walk onto a dock, hop onto a massive, high-speed water taxi that cuts straight across the lake, and it drops you off right at the footsteps of the stadium. It sounds absolutely incredible, maybe a little bit crazy, but if you cannot pave over the lakefront to build more parking lots, utilizing the water might be the only creative solution to move that many bodies efficiently. But as amazing as these renderings are, and as fun as it is to dream about water taxis and glass roofs, we have to slam on the brakes and look at the horrifying reality of the financial and political hurdles. The managing director of the architectural firm boldly stated that their client believes the existing site is the absolute ideal location for a world-class venue. And emotionally, I agree. Keeping the team in the city, right on the water, is the romantic ideal. It is what most purists want. But this beautiful proposal does absolutely nothing to magically erase the two giant, ugly elephants in the room. First, the city of Chicago still technically owns the building. And second, the taxpayers are still on the hook for over $350 million in lingering debt from that controversial spaceship renovation back in 2003. If you talk to anyone who actually studies stadium economics, they will tell you that taking a 100-year-old structure, tearing it half apart, building a massive new upper deck, and capping it with a $1 billion ETFE roof is going to cost an absolute fortune. In fact, doing a major renovation of this magnitude could easily cost just as much, if not more, than simply buying a dirt lot and building a brand new stadium from scratch. The entire reason the organization started this relocation process in the first place is because they want to own their own building. They want to own the land, they want to own the naming rights, and they want to keep every single dollar of revenue generated on that property, 365 days a year. So we have to ask ourselves the million-dollar question: is the city actually willing to sell the stadium to the team? Would the local government turn around and say, "Hey, if you guys agree to pay off that $350 million in old debt, we will hand over the keys and let you build this glass dome"? I have absolutely no idea, but based on how hostile the political climate has been toward public stadium funding, I am not holding my breath. The state government in Springfield has already made it crystal clear that they are not eager to hand over massive tax subsidies for the Arlington Heights project, so why would they suddenly open the checkbook for an even more complicated lakefront overhaul? And while all of this local bickering is happening, the state of Indiana is just sitting right across the border, quietly getting their ducks in a row. They have made it known that they are more than willing to play ball to bring an NFL franchise to Hammond. Now, do I actually think the team wants to cross state lines and play in Indiana? Absolutely not. If Kevin Warren and the ownership group genuinely wanted to go to Hammond, they probably would have already signed the paperwork. But the fact that Indiana is even a viable threat just proves how completely stalled out this entire process has become in our own backyard. At the end of the day, these new designs are undeniably cool, and the concept of a futuristic lakefront dome is a fun distraction, but nobody knows what is actually practical anymore. We have been having this exact same debate for what feels like an eternity. The property in the suburbs was purchased years ago, and we haven't even come close to reaching a basic agreement, let alone seeing a single shovel hit the dirt. As a fan who lives and breathes this team, the fatigue is getting very, very real. I would love nothing more than for them to stay right where they are, look out over the lake, and build this translucent masterpiece, even if it feels like a distant third behind the other options. But more than anything else, more than the roof, more than the capacity, and more than the location, I just want this entire nightmare to end. Make a decision, sign the contracts, build the stadium, and let us get back to focusing entirely on winning football games.